How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Big Gold Belt Media. It is I, Damian G, with Terrell over next to me, and we have Netflix. The one thing that you said you were going to get rid of, you still got it because Netflix keeps dropping good stuff. And this time we got Tomb Raider, The Legend of Lara Croft, scheduled to drop on October 10th. Basically, this takes place after the events of the 2018 game Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Wow. How do I say this nicely? I expected trash, and I got treasure. That's the first thing. The first thing I'm going to say. And pun unintended, as Lara Croft is a Tomb Raider. But holy shit. As you know, Terrell, I covered Twilight of the Gods, another Netflix show. So Netflix has been dropping a lot of good animation stuff recently, and this is no exception. Off the rip, Hayley Atwell, if they did make a Lara Croft movie, live action, I would not mind it. In more ways than one, I would not mind Hayley Atwell playing a live action Lara Croft, because good Lord, the vocal performance was amazing. But we'll get into the nuts and bolts of it all. But Hayley Atwell as Lara Croft, top notch for me. Her performance of Lara, or Lara, depending on who you want to be and say it, was a pleasant surprise, because I didn't know it was Hayley at first. I just watched it. And then when I started watching it, I said, oh, this voice sounds familiar. Who is this? Peggy Carter herself, Hayley Atwell. So bravo to her off the rip from me. Terrell, what are your first inclinations of Tomb Raider?
As somebody that has played almost every one of these games in every iteration, most recently famous, the last trilogy that came out that rebooted the entire series, like you said, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, where, you know, Shadow of the Tomb Raider has essentially become the Dark Knight Returns of, not the comic, of what, you know, Tomb Raider is going to be going forward. I know at the beginning, you know, Tomb Raider was sort of similar, but like it was a little bit more cartoonish, if that makes sense.
That does make sense.
You know, there were certain elements of those games that didn't feel as real. But when they rebooted those games, they went back and wanted to do like a grittier Lara, you know, a Lara like when you see her get hurt, you know, barely escaping, you know, the traps, you know, blood. You pretty much turn into a whole, I mean, for a better word, a killer. You got to kill everybody, but you know, for the right reasons, it's justified. But those games are good. But like I said, they've become the basis of every piece of Tomb Raider going forward. And what we got from this series is more of what I was expecting. That version of Lara Croft. And you know, right off the break, you see that, you know, her narrowly escaping the traps, you know, getting into script, you know, fights and stuff like that. It's just good. The animation right there is good as soon as you come in. But you said Hayley Atwell, which again I also did not know until I did a little homework that it was her. And you know, after watching this, I'm like, well, there could have been no other choice. This is what the, you know, the choice from the beginning. Now it could have either been her or, you know, the original voice actor from the video games, but that's a whole other thing right now. Or the woman who just recently played her in the movie, which is also a movie version of those games. Like, you know, they try to summarize all that. Again, like you said, this, I honestly didn't know I wanted this. This kind of came out of nowhere. Netflix just was like, hey, got Tomb Raider. You know, when they do that showcase of like all their animation stuff like that, I was like, wait, Tomb Raider. And I am definitely pleasantly surprised by this. This was good from top to finish, and we need more.
Yeah, and that was one of the things I realized when I was screening it with you. I kept thinking, when is this going to end? Because I liked it, and I didn't want it to overstay its welcome, but I felt like this season could have had a couple of more episodes to flesh out, but I need more. I cannot wait, and they're going to have the season 2. At least if I'm a betting man, they're going to have a season 2, and they need to have it.
Well, you know how Netflix does their seasons for animation, which slightly annoys me a little bit, is they'll take one complete season already. So let's just say this was scheduled for 13, 14 episodes. or 20 episodes, they'll break it into like 10. Okay, and then season 1 is still season 1, but they'll do a part 1, part 2. Is how they do that now, which I'm not a fan of.
Me either.
Especially with anime now, like a lot of the shows that I watch, I'm like, okay, but I don't know if that's used, especially for like a lot of the Japanese anime, if that's used to give them more time to dub that, because a lot of those shows, they are doing like their own in-house dubs or original dub. I'm not sure who does it, if they do it in-house or not, but yeah, I mean, this just fit perfectly. Like, if I ever wanted a Tomb Raider show, this gives me so much hope for more video game stuff. I mean, and we've gotten a lot because we got that Far Cry series, the Laserhawk thing. We've gotten a lot of video game stuff through Netflix that has definitely been stellar. Cyberpunk. I mean, at this point though, a dart at the wall you can't miss. You know what I mean? Like that, and they're getting big name studios to do these animations. I'll try to find the name of the studio for this. I don't know if I missed it. I'll try to look in the credits, and I'll try to look it up. I could not find it. Maybe somebody can let us know. I don't know if you have it, but maybe somebody can let us know what the studio is.
Yeah, the series is animated by Powerhouse Animation Studios based in Austin, Texas.
It looks like a Powerhouse show too. Powerhouse has done I'm trying to think of the shows, but they've done a lot of incredible anime for this, and I'm glad they came in and did this. This was amazing.
Well, like when I first saw the animation, I thought, that's an interesting way to animate the characters, like when you see Lara in her first mission, so to speak. But it was pristine. I loved it. It was clear cut. I wasn't looking at it like, and I always go back to this, it wasn't like those first 2 episodes of Dragon Ball Super. You know what I mean? So using Microsoft DOS Paint or something like that.
I mean, I get, speaking of that, I get where they were coming from with that. They the movies had already existed, and it's like, all right, we this is going to be 100 and something episodes. I get where they come from when they do that style of animation, but you don't have to do that anymore. You don't. And animation has changed a lot over, the industry has changed. And you see a lot of animation studios that instead of trying to make one long season, they take breaks, and it allows them to budget that out better and animate a lot better. And like I said, I have seen a lot of improvement in the industry. Now, there's still some shows, Netflix or wherever, where they do try to take shortcuts and, still images and, other things to save money. And I understand that, but we don't have to do that anymore. Like I said, there's no reason.
We're not at that place anymore. So
no reason for your show to be ugly unless that's the aesthetic on purpose.
South Park, it's always been that way and it will stay that way.
Well, South Park, I don't know if you watched South Park recently. South Park looks clean now. I mean, and they have an aesthetic, but you could tell it's no longer the copy and paste pieces of paper over images anymore, and it looks good. So there's a way to keep like your aesthetic without sacrificing quality.
Well, this is definitely a quality show. So here's what I'm thinking. The storyline, I know it's based, like we said earlier, it's kind of covering one of the video games in 2018, but if you don't know the story of Lara Croft, or at least this version of her, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, you might think, because when I first started playing Tomb Raider, Lara wasn't, she was fighting dinosaurs, but there wasn't that much the random T-Rex, like popping up out of nowhere. But it just seemed like the story was just action-packed, metal, pedal to the floor, balls to the wall, with her quirky accent and attitude, which was great. But I'll tell you the one thing I didn't like, and I'll get to it now. I thought the main villain was so cut and paste. Speaking of cut and paste, I could have taken that villain's backstory, that villain in general, the main villain of the story, and I could have put him from a Saturday morning cartoon with like an Snidely Whiplash. Yeah. And it would have had the same damn things for me.
And funny you say that, but that's legitimately what these villains be like in the games. You know what I mean? It's always like some rich white guy that's like trying to get the treasure before them. If you play any of the Uncharted games, Indiana Jones, if you watch that, which is obviously what those are referenced from, and you start to see Tomb Raider here go that more of a Indiana Jones direction, where we start to get more into the supernatural. We start to get more into the relics and stuff becoming true, and that's the same thing with like Uncharted. except you also get to run around and kill a bunch of people with no conscience. But but yeah, like you said, those are pretty much the same villains. All of those, it's always kind of the the race to get their first story. You know what I mean, with these Tomb Raider exploration style movies. What is the genre of this movie? Like of this, it's like a swashbuckling
action adventure.
Okay,
yeah, action adventure. So I get, and when you say swashbuckling, I completely understand, because it seems like she's just gallivanting from like escapade to escapade with no stop. But I will say, for the story, that's actually not, the bad guy is not the story. The story is Lara. The story is how Lara is dealing with loss, dealing with friendships, relationships, closeness, not being close, like real legitimate stuff that she's wrestling with, traumas. Like, that's the meat of this entire story. Now I can sugarcoat it and say it's about friendship, but it's a lot deeper than a Saturday morning cartoon, Friendship Forever. It's nuanced. It's got a lot of idiosyncratics, and when you're analyzing all the backup characters, right, that Lara has at her disposal, like Jonah, for instance. Like, I love that character. I love the character of Jonah. I thought he could have been a wrestler, WWE, part of the Samoan dynasty.
That's Samoan,
he got the tribal tattoo, you know what I mean? So I loved him. Zip was cool. Like, they're these characters that made up Lara's family were the real story of the show, and allowing them to help her, because she's so used to, in the business of raiding tombs, it's all about you. Friendships get you killed, kind of thing. So that's the story. I keep losing my headphones. That's the story, and I love that part of it. Like, yeah, the one-note villain, sure. The exploration, great. But that stuff, the meat, that's the heart. What did you think of the actual story of this season?
Again, like you said, when it left off, I wanted more immediately. And I mean, Tomb Raider is basically a show you can infinitely keep doing. Like, it's one of those things too that I think you can also adapt it to be anything too. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't have to be grounded in reality. It could be silly. It could probably be take on different iterations over time. But this one, I definitely like you said, we have this Lara who doesn't come in, through the gate already confident, knows what she's doing. 100%. We're dealing with loss, anxiety, depression. You don't get it together in one episode. It's all these friends and family trying to get her back on page, telling her that because of the tragedy that happens, it's not her fault. XYZ. But yeah, I loved it. I mean, just like I said, I definitely thought it was too short. And the first episode is a little meaty, a little bit longer too. But I definitely needed more. And man, I don't know if it's just my fandom for Tomb Raider already, but I think, like I said, I think they just hit the nail like right in the cut, like close. Like, it was just really that good. I don't want to sound like I'm exaggerating, but no, I definitely want to get more out of this. There's so much more that we could do.
No, and I think what happened is that they took this source material and they really focused on Lara the character, right? Yeah. Like, not just the adventure portion, but the character of her, and breaking her down, like we just said. Like, she's an actual person. She's not just video game character A. There's a method behind the madness. There's multiple lives she's living. It's not just she's Indiana Jonesing it. She's also, probably one of the richest women, from one of the richest families, and she's got a lineage that she has to kind of uptake. And then there's the whole family dynamic that she's like trying to avoid. Family ties, like, go away. We find out she's got a kind of like a sister, but not really. Like these bonds that she's trying to cut them at all costs, because that's the nature of the business that she's in. But a lot of it is because she's running away from what happened. She's running away from her trauma. We've all done that as people. We've all ran away from serious stuff and trauma, and we try to internalize things like she does. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say, I just want my Lara to be guns blazing. Well, you know what? Then that's not for you. this ain't the show for you. If you want this to be Uncharted, where there's killing without consequence, even though there's a couple of times there was some random killing.
I don't know, man. It's a lot of pirates, man. They're guns.
There's pirates, there's cult members, like there's hallucinogens. There's a lot of stuff going on here. But that's not the show for you if you want nothing but guns blazing every 5 seconds. Right. But if you want a true portrayal in media that's not a video game of Tomb Raider, this is it for you. You will love this show. And to Terrell's point, you're going to want more, because I'll say it, I'll be that dude. Hayley Atwell, again, you said it's the perfect call. Yes, because her voice exudes treasure. I don't know if it's Captain Carter that she was kind of to be in this, but she knows the superhero genre. She knows the hero genre, but she knows how to play a hero that has a conscience with all her characters, all those times as Peggy Carter. So I loved it. Dare I say she seduced me with her voice? I'll go on a limb and say that. I was seduced by this woman's voice. And I will say, put her in a live action and I will show up day one. But I will say, aside from the villain, if I'm giving it a rating out of 5, 4.5 out of 5. The villain is the only thing that's holding this back for me from being a perfect animation, except the lack of episodes. Like, I'll say that, but from an actual storyline standpoint, the only thing that's missing was the main villain. Like we said, he's one note for me, even if he has his reasons. But 4.5 out of 5.
So I will say, in terms of the action, I really did like the action in the show. I thought they did a really good job with that, animating that. There are times where I felt it kind of weird. They would shy away from certain things, like they would show stuff, blood, XYZ, but then they wouldn't show certain people get shot or I didn't understand what that was about. But like I said, I thought it was really well done. Like you said, 4.5 out of 5 is really good. I just get so nervous when I like something on Netflix or anything now, and especially when you have an Avenger basically on your top billing, so these it's going to cost some more money to do that. But like I said, I mean, it definitely hits it out the park for me. The story for this first season is really good. The casting is incredible. The voice acting is incredible. I mean, it's you can't even imagine that at one point in time, man, voice acting used to be terrible. It was phoned in, but no, we were getting really good performances out of this. The musical score, I think, throughout this feels really, really good. Definitely feels like a Tomb Raider game, or that that genre in general. At this point, I want to get Hayley Atwell in the games. It just
let's just digitize her. Yeah, let's digitize her and put her in the game. Yep.
But again, she's an Avenger. She costs a lot of money. But no, man, it was definitely good. Like I said, it hit all the points for me out of the park, and I definitely can't wait to get more.
And hopefully, after this first season that releases October 10th, we're gonna get more. So that's our ratings. That's how we feel about it. Is there any last things you want to say about this show that we haven't touched upon?
No, watch it. You watch it. We're gonna get another season. I mean, October 10th, Netflix. Again. We know you said you were quitting out, but they keep giving you more stuff. Just watch it. Like I said, it's really good. Tomb Raider: Legend of Lara Croft. Like I said, it's definitely worth the set. Hey, I just want to say, Richard Armitage is and this is another big voice actor that's in this.
Yes, he is.
Which I was really surprised he was on the cast. I heard it and I was just like, hold up. But yeah, they got some really good names on the show. I can't even say anything else because I feel like it'd be a spoiler, but they got some really big names on this.
Yeah. And if you're into really good voice work, this is a show for you. Because like you said before, we come from an era where people were phoning it in, doing long before Kevin Costner, Mark Hamill, Frank Welker, we had those cheesy, don't do that now, or those bad anime dubs from 1987. So we've come a long way. But yes, Tomb Raider, please watch this. Comes out October 10th on Netflix. If you don't got Netflix, this might be worth the subscription, at least for the month. Just saying. So again, go watch it. You'll enjoy it. Give it a season 2 because we love season 1. Anyway, you can let us know down below in the comments below if we were wrong on our assessment, because like Terrell said, sometimes we get hyped up and then some people are disappointed, but that's just how we feel. But let us know in the comments down below. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Big Gold Belt Media, biggoldbelt.com, your one-stop shop for all things entertainment. We'll catch you next time.
See you.
Peace.
Breathtaking.